like that. We go to the Cotton Club up in Coral Springs, and 5, 6, 7 groups would perform and do a whole showcase. But I went to school in Boulder at CU, and I was hanging around at Skunk Creek Inn, and I knew a couple of guys in the band. You know, Rocky Duarte was in the band.
And Rocky got to be in
Rocky,
here with his
yeah,
interview.
yeah,
That was great.
Rocky and Eddie were in the band, and they were friends of mine from Denver because they started at about 14 years old when they were in Denver as well.
And Rocky and Eddie were part of the Freddie Henchey fame
Yeah.
super band,
Sure.
extremely good band.
Yeah, they weren't the original members. You had Jesse Escorto and you know, Epi Guerrero. You had Quills on keyboard. Not well before Quills. You had another keyboard player, but they came secondary. I mean, secondly, they came and they joined Freddie Henchey, and they were good friends of mine. We were hanging out, and I used to sit in with Freddie Henchey, and one day a guy at the door, when the doorman says, "Hey, there's a hippie guy that wants to talk."
So
We're back.
I kind of look dark back there, man.
But you're not. You're bright as hell. You're on high
Need
def.
some more light, bro.
You're high def, and high def. We're bringing a good stream to you. We may have to. You may have to look at about maybe 3 or 4 different streams because it's gone down maybe even 3 or 4 times. I think Jesse's about ready to go to sleep right here. But Jesse's
My
been
first yawn of the day.
yeah,
That's
he's been
awesome.
doing some good things. He's been out DJing. He's here doing all the interviews, and we're having a good time. You're listening to the sounds of Mr. Gary Wilson. And that song was a great one by Gary Wilson. Back to the video audio stream simulcast. So tell us, Gary, where did that song come from?
In the magazines, television, you want to emulate. So it was kind of a girl dreaming about that, and she's gonna be there, and she's a diamond in the rough, and she's gonna grow to be that person she wants to be. And that's kind of how I came up with the idea.
So you've been writing a lot of songs, and let's go over some of the bands that you played with. We
Oh.
kind of touched a few of them, but we
Yeah.
didn't. Go ahead and spit them out,
Well,
Gary.
you know,
It's going to have some fun with that
Yeah,
one.
well, back with the Tommy Bolin thing, that was kind of my first big thing that happened. I mean, I didn't really realize how big it was until I got in it. Like I said, Barry Fay was involved. I remember meeting Barry Fay the first time down on 16th Street. And Tommy says, "This is my new singer, Barry." And I said, "Are you a good singer?" I said, "Yeah, I can sing, you know." So I met Barry Fay, and then we went on. I mean,
They were just coming through town. It was
right,
like
Gloria Stefan, and
she had just got to be the upfront singer. She
Right,
was just fronting, and she was doing it for her singer had got sick, and then she was playing games. You know, the
Yeah.
old typical "I'm good and you can't do without me" kind of thing. So they put her up front, and man, was that the best move they ever made in their life.
man, yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I remember all those days, you know, and that was some of my early concert stuff, you know, after the Tommy Bolin things, and you know, I was with a group called Camilo. We used to play at the Rook. You know, we played a lot of places around town. But
Yeah, Camilo Royce is another fabulous musicians from, you know, we talk about this. We were talking about all the musicians that have passed away, and Camilo Royce did pass away in a fire.
right, that was our band.
Kind of talked about that. You know, you went into, you named some of the venues they used to go peep into, and there was a lot of the
Oh
good.
yeah,
And so let's talk about that. And you remember those times. And so I some of the names of the venues I couldn't remember, but boy, you had them right on
well,
point.
yeah, well, there was like the Family Dog. That was a club that Barry Fay used to run all the acts through there. And that place was famous just because some of your super back in those days. They used to have 3-2 bars, a lot of 3-2 bars, and we played at those places.
And those are some good things. Then let's go over some. You're going to have a ton of bands to tell me that you've played with.
You're a good singer. He says, well, why don't you come over to my house on Pleasant Street up near the hill and check me out and see if you want to sing with my band. So that's how I met Tommy. I went over his house, and man, he blew me away. Man, he could play. And I said, wow, this guy's a good guitar player. Next thing I knew, I was with the Energy Band, the group he had started after Zephyr. And we did some playing, man. We played at, of course, at Tulagi's was our home base. We played there about twice a month at Tulagi's. Chuck Morris from AEG, he runs AEG now back in those days. they used to have 3-2 bars, a lot of 3-2 bars, and we played at those places.
And those are some good things. Then let's go over some. You're going to have a ton of bands to tell me that you've played with, Gary.
Oh man.
Oh, Judas Priest.
I
And
hate to
Do you
tell
want
you.
to? Do you want to go there, Henry?
yeah, we're
Yeah.
just going to go over, like, we'll start off with
Oh.
name about
Yep.
3 or 4 right now, and then we're going to go into one of your songs and talk about that,
Okay.
and just give us a kind of a feedback on a quick feedback on
Yeah.
each group and how you move from one to the next and the next. Because Gary, me and you go back a long ways,
Oh,
and
man.
Jesse sits in here with me, and I say that to everybody.
Wow.
Goes, damn, Henry, you
Actually brought in Nels, his dad. He and I were good friends.
good friends. Yeah.
And Ron Ulibarri.
You remember Ron?
Oh
and,
yeah, we
everybody.
used to hang out a lot, man.
So all these good things are happening. You're listening to Gary Wilson's music, and we're trying to keep our stream going. We keep seeing that bandwidth just jumping and jumping and jumping, which tells us Gary has a huge fan base. Like, Judas Priest is. Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to correct that. We can't correct it now. We're going to correct it on the server. We're going to just increase our listener and video viewership and crank that out, and we're just going to double it one more time, and just keep doubling it as we get all our fans from around the world logging in just to hear this. Because we're coming out of Denver, Colorado, and Denver has a lot to show everybody, and I'm proud to just be presenting it to you on KUHSdenver.com. Jesse, Mr. Jesse Segura, the man has been doing it. Now he's going to be carrying,
Jess.
he's going to be carrying the torch for us later on, and as we move on, and he'll be moving on with his stuff, and he started out with this radio TV station that's been flourishing, and it's going to get bigger and better and bigger and better. We're just trying to keep up with it. Right now, we're just trying to keep the bandwidth going because the bandwidth
Different, and nobody knew where to place the group, especially having a black lead vocalist and doing this stretched out kind of jam band, jazz, rock stuff. They didn't know what to do with this. I stayed with Tommy for about 9 months, almost a year, and then I went on to do other things. And Tommy went on to join the James Gang. He did the album with Billy Cobham, which blew up fusion music. He joined the Deep Purple band, and eventually he had his own band where he had some guys like Narada Michael Walden playing drums for him, Jimmy Hayslip, the bass player for many jazz groups. Jimmy Hayslip is well known, and other players. Jan, he was I was one of the first doing that. The group, we did a real nice studio demo of about 5 or 6 original recordings that has come out since on many other labels. The songs that we did on that record came out when Tommy joined the James Gang, which he did after Energy. They did some of the very same songs that we did. So I feel kind of proud that the James Gang had to copy my vocals on that.
Yeah, it says right here you were the original lead vocalist with the Energy,
Right.
and recorded the song Red Skies. The song later recorded by the James Gang.
Yeah, I'm noted for Red Skies. That was my signature tune, and it was it was a blues tune. And
Gary Wilson. We're blipping in and out, but we still get it back up in time. It's only about a second delay, so you're fine. Just keep in mind that we've had a very good Saturday with all the different guests that we've had in here, right, Jesse? We've had
Absolutely.
a lot of good guests. We had Dave Lucero Jr. of the Jamaica fame. His son, which is Dave Lucero Sr., was the Jamaica fame, excuse me. But his dad played in Jamaica. He just lost another member of Jamaica, which is Mr. Jesse Soto, which it's a real sad time. This time of the year, we've been losing lots of people in the music field, so it's kind of hard to say goodbye to people that just abruptly pass away like that, especially if you've been on stage with them or like
Especially
you,
if
Jesse.
You just seen him a week ago or something.
Yeah, you were just up on stage with him not too
Yeah.
long ago. You
Oh,
seen
yeah.
him jam out.
Yeah.
You kind of hate to see him just also.
Like I said, Jesse and Latin Soul, they were at my graduation birthday.
Frampton Comes Live. That was Stanley Sheldon. He was our bass player. Our keyboard player went with Joe Walsh and Barnstorm. Everybody knows Joe Walsh from
Mhm.
from his days of playing. even our percussionist ended up with the Doobie Brothers for like 15 years. Bobby LeKine was his name. Bobby's no longer with us. He died a few years back, but he was with the Doobie Brothers playing congas. Everybody in that group blew up. Our drummer, Bobby Berkey, he played with Buddy Miles when Buddy was using two drummers.
I remember that Buddy
Yeah.
Miles had the two drummer thing. Everybody was trying to mimic him.
Yeah.
Gary, pick another song. Let's play some of your music so that way, because our video stream keeps going up and down. Our bandwidth, our bandwidth is being just hammered.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So let's get some of your music up there for our simulcast.
His background vocals on this is Bonnie Boyer, who played with Sheila E. and she sang with Prince in the Revolution. Also Kitty Beethoven, who works a lot with Narada Michael Walden. You hear her on Whitney Houston stuff. You hear her on Aretha Franklin's early big hits, Freeway of Love. She's on a lot of that stuff. But they were doing the vocals with me on this tune.
So there you have it. Here we go. Everlasting Love by Mr. G. Wilson.
Okay, so we keep losing tons of bandwidth, which means that we have lots of listeners, lots of people listening in.
So, you can only hear it right here on KUHS Denver, especially our Denver local artists. Check out our Denver takeover that happens on Thursday. This last Thursday, we had who? Palance Bradshaw?
Palance Bradshaw did a Denver takeover this Thursday, and it was great. I mean, it sounded so clear and crisp because we broadcast in high def. High def is, especially if we have old music in here, we try to convert it from analog. It's got to take 2 steps. Sometimes you can't convert it, but any of the new music that you're producing, such as Palance Bradshaw, comes out in just crystal clear high def. And so, with that being said, yeah, let's get back over to our radio stream, which is constant. That doesn't go down. Just our video feed.
Are all these songs off this album right here?
No.
No, there's another album?
No.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, what you think about that? Everlasting Love by Gary Wilson, huh?
Yeah, that's going to be up in our stream right now. You're going to hear it in the online stream.
Thank you. Many groups. Back to Mighty Joe Young. Played.
Remember Mighty Joe Young?
Mighty Joe Young. That was a long time ago.
And that was a great group.
Yeah. Back to Mighty Joe Young. Played.
Remember Mighty Joe Young?
Mighty Joe Young. That was a long time ago.
And that was a great group.
Yeah.
And so some of the other groups you played with, and Gary, let us know about some of the other groups.
Well, I was with Second Wind, and then after
Forrest Means and everybody, right?
Forrest Means, Chris Legge, Eddie Perez.
Remember, whatever happened to Eddie? Gary,
Eddie,
I haven't heard.
Seen him. I still I got love for him, Also, I played with. We started a group. Rocky and Eddie Duarte and myself started a group with Neftali Santiago. The group was Santiago. We had that group, and we had a nice record out back then, written by Neftali. And we toured and played, and we did a lot of gigs, and that was a hot group. We also had JB, John Bailey on percussion, Joe Burns on sax, and Nefty on drums, of course. But it was a hot group, And then Nefty went to LA after that. Nefty was the original drummer for the group Mandrill. If you remember Fence Walk, that was Mandrill. And he was with them from the inception of that group. And he came to Denver and started Santiago. And we did that for quite a while. And I've been in many groups. Rocky and Eddie, Rocky and I, myself and Coco Brown were the vocalists. Rocky on guitar, Joe Androvich on drums. It was his group. He started it. We had Chuck Fisher on guitar at one time. Don Young on keyboards at one time. Also, we had John Sterling on keyboards when the group finally ended. John Sterling. And our guitarist is with the group right now that does all the Eagles. They do a lot of Eagles songs. But that was a good group. Lasted real long.
Now you had Coco Brown playing with you. How did you like the front with Coco? I mean, she's got that
Coke is my
awesome
girl.
background
Yeah.
front vocalist, and
Yeah.
you guys complement each other. Got to
Yeah.
hear the vintage band several times, lots of times
Yeah.
actually.
We sang together for years,
Mhm.
years. Yeah. That's my girl. I still love her, and she's a great vocalist, and she's working with Hazel Miller now. I've done some gigs with Hazel, and also they have Carl Caldwell doing background vocals with Hazel, and I love singing with them. And great people. She did some things with Cheryl Renee. Uh, also have Coco and Cheryl on some of these songs that I'm playing for you today.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And Cheryl Nate could be listening in. She's in Atlanta right now.
Love Cheryl
And
too.
she loves to
Yeah.
patch in and listen to what we got to say, or she thinks this is great because
Another fine vocalist.
we're exposing all the hidden gems that are still in Denver. And one of those hidden gems is Gary Wilson. He's in the studio with us right now on KUHSdenver.com. Let's play some more of his music, Jess. Come on, quit holding out, dude.
Yeah.
Do it. I'm just waiting for the cue.
Yeah, okay, what is it, Gary? Give us
Uh,
some more.
I'm not even sure what we had queued next, but this is another one of my tunes, so I'm ready. One More Chance is the name of it.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't-
you got
there's-
one more sunshine, one
Oh,
fall,
they're
just a
written down.
little, not the full title, but
You-
just
Okay.
to give us
I
an
didn't see
idea.
that's
Yeah,
where they were, yeah.
So we're having a great interview with Mr. Gary Wilson.
we're
right
back
now.
up streaming.
Yeah.
We'd like to see us streaming.
Our bandwidth, I had to go in there and do a little bit of configuration there, trying to hammer it so we can stay running on our video bandwidth. There must be a lot of interest in Mr. Gary Wilson from maybe around the world now, or maybe just his Denver fans alone hammered our website. It was just getting hammered nonstop. But of course, Jesse, when you walked in, Paul was getting it hammered right away. He started it off with a really good show.
Absolutely.
And then you just walk in and just do the same. We're getting thousands and thousands of people. We come right back on. So I'm holding it up. So we're going to have a multitude of short little videos on Mr. Gary Wilson, but that's okay. You can watch them all. Mr. Gary will probably want to watch them. You can still hear us live on the radio. If you don't like the video part, if it kind of messes with you, we're going to still listen to his music and stay on the radio with it and listen to his music simulcast. And people like to hear Gary Wilson's music.
Absolutely. We're jamming over here.
We need to
man.
know
I mean,
too.
this
We'll,
is-
we'll do this on the radio in case we don't capture it on video. We want to know where Gary Wilson is playing, who he's playing with,
Yeah,
and why
who
he's
he's
not
playing
playing,
with.
and why he's not on stage right now. And that's been a couple of questions that keep coming in. They come in from everywhere. Where's Gary Wilson? How do we listen to him? What bands is he playing with? And so we're going to get that. I mean, we're going to capture it on video, what we're saying now, but we're going to repeat this, okay, Jess? Reason why is because of this.
we might lose stream
Yeah,
again.
our bandwidth, you can tell when they're just hammering, and our
Yep.
bandwidth just gets sucked up there. So I tried to double it. I went in there and did a couple of doubling, but it didn't do no good. Well, actually it did. So after we're done here, we'll go ahead and go on the radio and ask Gary again where he's going to be performing at. So
Let's just do it on the radio.
this,
actually,
yeah, so that way
you know,
this video stream, I
That
mean,
way-
it was kind of rocky today, wasn't it? Rocky Dwarf. I mean, no.
Rocky
It was kind of rocky today.
that just shows that we got listeners, so that's
Big
good.
time, hmm? Man, that was nice, wasn't it, DJ Jess?
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
So,
Yeah.
Jesse, I mean, from your point of view so far, you've got to be around all these great artists from the Denver area, people who go way back. Tell us what you think. Come on, give us your point of view from young school.
Young
You're sitting
school,
right
you
next
know,
to
You
a
know,
Denver icon.
absolutely.
You just don't know how much Gary Wilson is packing in that brain of his, of where he's got to be,
I
his
could-
experiences,
Yeah,
everything is.
I could only imagine.
His
you know,
mojo that he carries with him.
I got my mojo.
Yeah,
Yep.
so he's got lots and lots to share with you.
Yeah, I could only imagine,
Did
how
you
many
hear
more
some-
stories he has. You
Did
know,
you hear
like
all
I
the-
mentioned earlier, we were sitting there in the other room and we were just talking and talking and talking. And you know what? Like we say, we just need to do a part 2 with him because there's no way we could fit everything in 1 hour with what he has to say.
And even listening to this good music.
And even listening, you know, he's got tons. I know he's got tons more music
Oh,
for
yes.
us, and you know, we have some that you won't hear today, but you will hear in our overnight stream. And so, you know, I've been watching local bands and supporting local bands since as long as I can remember. And the fact that I get to be here and finally talk with everyone, just like Dave Jr., I've been
Yeah.
watching him with Chasing the Dream and Society for as long as I can remember.
But not doing up close and personal,
But
right?
not up close and personal
Right,
and have a
right.
conversation with them.
Right.
So this is great what we got here at KUHS, and we're hoping you guys like it as well. All the Denver artists we
Hope
have
so.
here, and it's a great way to promote yourselves and get your music out there, and it's a great way for us to connect and for the community to connect with you guys up close and personal, for everyone who's been out there watching you guys for years and seeing you guys at all these different clubs. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
thank you for coming in and
Yeah.
sitting down with us
Hey,
and
man, I
talking to
love
us.
it. I love it. You guys have a beautiful situation here. I'm so glad to be here.
Absolutely. Like
Sure.
I was saying earlier, I may be young, but I'm gonna do
Hey.
whatever I can to make sure this music, especially old school music, lives on forever.
Hey, well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Being in the studio, right now just takes me back because, I remember being at KFML back in the
Do you remember
days.
KFML used to do
Man,
simulcast?
I did a show with KFML and well, Steve, I forget his name, but
Yeah, I remember KFML.
I did
KDKO,
yeah,
remember
I did
KDKO?
KDKO and Denver's just
KTLK, remember?
right,
K
right.
Talk, KIMN
Yeah,
Radio.
in Denver, I mean, we've never had a voice. There's no outlet for all these musicians we're talking about, and it's a shame. But now we do, folks. You have it right here on this station. So tune in and check out what's happening around your city. It's blowing up.
Yeah,
It's
this,
blowing up.
and then we have Mr. Jesse right here, and I'm proud of what he's doing and how
Yes,
he's
sir.
doing. He's not
Yes, sir.
afraid to move forward with
Yeah.
how he's taking care of business.
Absolutely.
And like he said, he's sitting next to you, Gary.
Well,
Oh,
if
man, no.
it wouldn't
But
have
but
been,
listen to the names that you're throwing out at him. He's like, whoa,
Absolutely.
whoa,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
I
I've
know him,
Yeah.
and I'm just surprised,
I've
all
been-
this stuff.
Yeah, I've just been fortunate. I've traveled all over the country, all over the world. I've been to Europe. I've been to Alaska, Puerto Rico, Hawaii. I've been all over the place, and no place has the musicianship and the talent that Denver does.
And a lot of
We
people
just
don't
don't
know
have
that.
outlets,
Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people don't know that because, like you said, there's no outlet to let people know what's going on here
Right.
in Denver. And especially now, the music scene in Denver, Colorado is just reinventing itself, and it's booming here.
Right.
And KUHS Radio is going to deliver
It's-
through
yes,
this medium.
absolutely.
Play your music,
Mhm.
put it up on our streamer. You're going to say, well, who's that? Wow, is that
Right.
the Daz band? No, that's
That's Gary
Yeah,
Wilson. G.
yeah.
Wilson.
G.
That's our
Wilson's
man.
group,
G
yeah.
Man.
Or is it Jamaica?
Or
Yeah.
Jamaica
one
or
of those groups,
Society
yeah.
or
one of the younger
Moses,
kids that's bringing
Moses
it up.
Jones, Chasing the
And
Dream.
it's up to the audience.
Sue
out there.
Charles, yeah, you got to mention her.
Oh.
Palance Bradshaw, all
Yeah.
the great individuals. If you're listening in right now, and you're listening to a great interview with the great Mr. Gary Wilson. I'm proud to sit next to him. I've always been proud of Mr. Gary Wilson. I
Well,
always took
thank you.
pictures and documented everything.
But
Now,
you know what?
That's
bring
all
it
those
back.
old pictures you had.
And
I
I-
really appreciate that, man.
and I bring it back out. And I'll never forget what the musicians, all the musicians here in Denver have done for me personally. Our company, Archuleta Promotions, which is a 40-year-old company, we've outlasted Barry Fay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Fayline no longer does that. They should. I mean, because if
Right.
somebody gets a hold of that, they're on fire also. But
Well, maybe they'll listen and they'll pay
yeah,
attention.
and the landscape has changed.
Yeah.
We took it a different direction by bringing out this multimedia system here, and that's our
Absolutely.
contribution.
And if it wouldn't have been for you, none of us would be sitting here. So we
Is it-
thank you,
and it-
Mr. Archuleta.
And so it's going to go
Yeah.
somewhere.
And
You're going to lead the way,
Yep.
Right.
along with all the rest of the hot DJs that come in here.
Exactly.
Janine Santana, big praise to you. You're doing some really sharp,
Vaya.
sharp commercials,
Vaya.
ladies. Sharp commercials, and we love your commercials.
Right.
So we're going to go on with one more song from.
Yeah, well, I've got this next tune. This was actually, I had a group with Billy Bass Nelson, who was the original bass player for Parliament Funkadelic. As a matter of fact, he's the one that came up with the name Funkadelic. Billy and I worked together. We had a group called Magique, and he and myself and a guy named Dr. Charles Watson. And this is called Sunshine.
So far, our bandwidth is holding up really, really well. So I think we're doing okay at
We're
this
doing
point.
good.
Is it?
Hopefully we'll get
Yeah.
another
I mean, we still
peak.
captured quite a bit. It's just in bits. Sometimes it's just, we'll lose it every now and then as we see the bandwidth. As people log in, we really like you logging into our station, and it's probably because of DJ Jesse and all his fan base. He's got a huge fan base out there, and he knows it. He watches it like a hawk. He always goes, "Hey, look at this! It's your server's on fire. You better go cool it down." So I get a bucket of water, throw it on there, and it cools down for a bit, but goes right back up. And he's always asked me what's going on. I go, a lot of good things are going on, Jesse. You got your listenership is way up there, and it keeps doubling and tripling. He goes, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets to
Yeah.
sit in here with some of these. And week by week, we do bring all these good interviews, and it's like, sometimes we experience this. We experienced it one week where we had one other group. We lost our connection quite a bit, and it's got to do with just a lot of logins. But today we packed it in with lots of people, so that's probably why we lost our connection quite a bit today, because there was some big stars. G. Wilson's in the house, and that's why you're probably getting this feed keeps going up and down, but we won't let it down longer than 5 seconds. So we've got G. Wilson's music playing for you. You can hear in the background if you can hear my voice. I'm talking to you at the same time, but you're listening to some good music right now. Mr. Wilson has been in the Denver scene a long time. He comes from way back in the day, all the way up to now, bringing some of the best anthology that you could ever want and wish. And we may bring him in for a second time because we can't say everything and play all this music simultaneously.
Not in 1 hour.
Not in 1 hour at all, Mr. Jess. And you're helping me do a lot of this. You've had Dave Lucero Jr. on your show.
Yeah.
Half hour, real quick. He was trying to get as much as he could out there too. And you got to sit down with him up close and personal. Of course, I know the family. I know him and I know his dad.
But like I said, it was good to finally do that after years watching him on stage. So
yes, sir.
All right.
Back with Gary Wilson. That was Sunshine by Mr. Gary Wilson.
Yeah.
A really nice tune that he created and made.
Well, Billy and I spent a lot of time. We did that up in Canada, up in Montreal, out in Saint-Sever. It's up near the Laurentian Mountains, kind of like ski resorts are to Denver. That's the way that is to Montreal. And man, we had a ball recording that. The group Chicago was up there in the other studio when we were recording. Langier, their old percussionist, was there. We had met him at Discount Creek back in the day in Boulder, but we hung out, and he and Walt Perezader sat in and jammed with us on some songs, and so had a ball. Love Canada, was treated real nice, and that's what we have. After I did this stuff here with the Magique, the group, we had a deal for Atlantic Records at that time, which eventually fell apart. But I went on and came back to Denver, ended up signing with Urban Sound Records with Dick Darnell, and off and running again. So Dick Darnell is the one that produced Lonnie Hill's hit records, and so that took its turn, and I went with it.
And Lonnie Hill's, he's a great individual. He's put out some good music. He's up on our streamer. We play a lot of his music. There's a lot of requests for it. And
shout out to Lonnie Hill, man. That's my man right there.
Lonnie's cool.
And once we get G. Wilson's music up there, we're going to probably, people are going to call in or say, well, who's that song? We usually have it on our streamer, but because we're on a version